You kissed someone today, or you thought about it. A greeting, a goodbye, a goodnight peck on your way out the door. Something you did on autopilot, without a single thought behind it. You didn't need to do that. You could have just said the words, "I love you, see you later, good morning." Language exists. We invented an entire system, thousands of years in the making, built specifically for saying exactly what we mean. And yet, we still press our faces together instead. No words, no sentence, just contact. This isn't a new habit. It's not even close. Some researchers think it's older than written language, older than farming, maybe older than modern human speech itself. So here's the question. If we already have words for this, why do we still default to a wordless, faceless? Where did kissing actually come from? And why did it stick around for this long? To answer that, we have to go back further than humans, way further. Start with chimpanzees. Primatologists studying wild chimp troops noticed something odd decades ago. Mothers chewing food, then passing it mouth to mouth into their infant's mouth. Premastication, it's called, a clinical word for something that looks a lot like a kiss. Researchers studying bonobos found something even stranger. Bonobos press their mouths together during moments of tension, after fights, after reunions, not for food, for peace. That's the seed. Mouth-to-mouth contact as a peace treaty, a bonding signal, long before anyone called it a kiss or called it anything at all. Now fast forward a few million years. Early hominins are raising helpless, slow-growing babies who can't do anything for themselves, can't walk, can't feed themselves, can't survive a single night alone. Touch becomes currency. Smell becomes information. Anthropologists studying infant care in early human groups point to something simple. A parent's face pressed close to a baby's face wasn't romance. It was chemical communication. I am here. You are safe. This is what safety smells like. That's the foundation everything else got built on top of. Here's where it gets interesting. For a long time, historians assumed romantic kissing started in India around 1500 BCE, based on early Sanskrit texts describing people sniffing with their mouths, pressing faces together, inhaling each other. Vedic literature. Some of the oldest religious texts on Earth, and they're already describing something that looks unmistakably like a kiss. But in 2023, two researchers, Troels Pank Arbol and Sophie Lund Rasmussen, pushed the timeline back even further. They went digging through Mesopotamian clay tablets, cuneiform, some of the earliest writing humans ever produced, dating back more than 4,500 years, and it's already there. Love poetry, references to the mouth, to kissing, tied to the ancient marriage rites of the gods Inanna and Dumuzi. Sacred ceremonies performed to guarantee fertility and a good harvest for an entire civilization. Let that sit for a second. The oldest writing we have was invented to track grain, taxes, and livestock. And even in those earliest scratches on clay, kissing was already showing up, which tells you something. It wasn't invented in one place and slowly taught to the rest of the world. It looks like it was already happening everywhere humans were writing things down. But here's the problem with a clean, simple origin story. It's not that simple. In 2015, anthropologist William Jankowiak ran a massive cross-cultural survey, nearly 170 societies around the world. His finding was blunt. Fewer than half of them, less than half, practiced romantic, mouth-to-mouth kissing at all before contact with outside cultures. Some groups found it strange. A few, when first exposed to it, described it the way you might describe someone licking your face. Not romantic, kind of alarming actually. So kissing isn't hardwired into every human being on Earth. It's not universal, which means it's not pure instinct. It's culture, layered on top of something instinctive, something older, weirder, and far more useful than romance. Here's what makes this actually important. Kissing isn't really about affection. Affection is the cover story. Underneath it, your body is quietly running a background check. In 1995, biologist Claudia Wedekind ran what's now nicknamed the sweaty t-shirt study. Women rated the smell of shirts worn by different men, no faces, no names, just scent. Overwhelmingly, they preferred the smell of men whose immune system genes were most different from their own. Different immune genes between two people mean stronger, more disease-resistant offspring. Your nose, or in this case, your face pressed close enough to taste and smell someone, is running genetic math you're not even consciously aware of. That's not romance. That's evolution, quietly grading a compatibility test through your face. And that test comes with a cost. A 2022 genetic study out of Cambridge traced the herpes simplex virus, HSV1, the strain most linked to oral herpes, and found its major spread lines up almost perfectly with waves of migration and closer human contact starting around 5,000 years ago. Right around the time cities were forming, populations were packing together, and, statistically, people were kissing a lot more than ever before. So the same behavior that helped us choose healthier, more genetically compatible mates also helped spread one of the most widespread viruses on the planet, one that still lives quietly in a huge percentage of adults today. Same instinct, two completely different outcomes. Somehow that feels very on-brand for humans. So here's the full picture. It starts with chimps swapping food mouth to mouth to feed their young. It becomes bonobos using mouth contact to make peace after conflict. It becomes early human parents pressing their faces to their infants because touch and scent meant the difference between safety and danger. It shows up in Vedic texts describing people sniffing each other 3,500 years ago. It shows up even earlier in Mesopotamian love poetry, carved into clay, tied to gods and harvests, over 4,500 years old. It spreads unevenly across the globe, skipped entirely by nearly half of all cultures on record, and underneath all of it, this entire time, your body has been quietly running a genetic compatibility test through your nose and mouth, for stronger immune systems, for healthier kids, and, as an unfortunate side effect, for spreading a virus that still travels with millions of people today. So next time you kiss someone hello or goodbye or goodnight without thinking twice about it, that's not just affection. That's tens of thousands of years of chemistry, survival, culture, and instinct, all firing at once in one quiet, wordless moment. We built entire languages just to say exactly what we mean, and somehow we still reach for the version that uses no words at all. Maybe that's the most human thing about it.